Hi everyone, my name is Garnette O'Connell. My adventures that happen, I finally know someone who can get those into books. Her name is Allison. I've always wanted to get my adventures written in books, and now that I know Allison, she can do that for me. She's going to be doing a book reading. It's part of a series called The Adventures of a Mermaid, and the book she's reading this time is called The Rat Prophecy. This is part 10. Welcome to the Esperanza 243. I am the Esperanza 243. I am actually really excited about today. Today we are doing a book reading, and it is the next part of The Rat Prophecy. Now, normally I try not to get into the book until like minute 4 or minute 5, but well, no, there are a couple of things I actually do want to talk about, but I'll explain what's going on with The Rat Prophecy in a second. I do want to let you know, though, that The Rat Prophecy is the sequel to Aquatica. If you haven't watched or listened to my book reading of Aquatica, go ahead and check that out. I'm actually really excited because originally I did read Aquatica on my channel about 3 years back, I believe it was, and it was actually under the name of actually, I do not remember what it was called. But I know it wasn't Aquatica. It was Part of Your World. Part of Your World. And I decided to change the name just because I figured it might be a bit of a copyright to Disney. Because originally it was going to be like, I guess not a parody, but like my own version of The Little Mermaid. But I realized that that idea was also with a combination of my own little story idea of like a person finding a person just done with their family and wanting to leave, and then turning into a mer person when they get in the ocean. But that changed that pretty much changed like at the beginning of the book. Anyways, there is actually one thing I want to talk about before I get into the recap of the previous video, the previous reading, I should say. And the one thing is that I am doing a collaboration, not on this channel, but my gaming channel. I'm doing a collaboration with someone called, with the channel name of Vireo. I originally kept calling him Vireo and Virao, whatever. But he corrected me. He heard, because he's been checking out my channel, and he did a shout out. But that video got corrupted even after he uploaded it, so he had to take it down. I told him that he can still fix it and re-upload it, because without that video, there's no confirmation of an actual shout out. It's his word versus mine. Even though he has said repeatedly, he hasn't said it repeatedly, but like he has told me about it. But the first time I found out about it was people commenting on my gaming channel, saying someone did a shout out of me. I'm like, wait, what? And I actually gained 2 subscribers out of that, which is really cool. I'm assuming that's how I got the subscribers. I don't know. But I'm actually really excited. And guys, check out the number next to my name down below. Oh my gosh, I officially have 160 subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I love it. If we can get to 200, I'll be even more stoked. I don't know what the perks are for 200, but I don't care. Because, I mean, I honestly don't care. Well, that's not true. Like, I love doing this channel. I originally started this channel because I wanted to be heard. I wanted people to know the kind of books that I write. Like, I still intend to publish my books. But I'm not comfortable reading all of them on this channel. Eventually I will, but I think that's going to happen after I get some of those books published. So, I'm actually kind of thinking about reading a published book after I finish the Rat Prophecy. Probably a short one, hopefully. If not, well, whatever. Let's go ahead and get to the book, since we have a lot to read. Alright, so what happened in the previous reading was Ariel kind of confronting Garnette about her having an adventure, because she thinks that Garnette hasn't had a proper adventure, and Garnette doesn't agree with that, considering she had to deal with traveling to Aquatica to find her family and saving the city from impending doom. And Ariel's like, that's not an adventure, that's creating a home. And so I've kind of turned Garnette into a pessimist, even though she's really not. But she kind of realizes, that she does need a new job. She needs to leave the petting job, the job that she has at some sort of animal store, petting store, whatever. I don't remember what it was. But she tells Ariel about receiving her magical object, which happens to be Karena's locket. Now, if you're not familiar with Karena, it's because you haven't listened to my first book, Aquatica. Karena is her ancestor, and is her uncle's niece. So, it's pretty cool, huh? And so, Ariel leaves to go back to her job, because her shift is about to start, and Garnette ends up heading home to fill out the job application for the dancers, and she ends up fiddling with her locket. She thinks of her sister, her cousin, because in the first book she believed Marion to be her sister, when really she was her cousin, but she ends up thinking about Marion, and as she does that, her mind is like zonking out, and when she does, her eyes open again, and she's in some other place. She astral projected, which is really cool. It's one of the things that her locket can do. She doesn't realize that, though, until, she has to leave, Until she has to leave. But, she talks to her cousin during her class. Well, sort of. She ends up writing down what happened to her cousin, and her cousin realizes, oh, she astral projected here. What? And that's when the professor notices that Marion's not paying attention, so he calls on her. And he asks how you would cook a yellowfish tuna. And of course, I did not put in the directions and instructions on how to do that. Because I honestly don't know how to cook a yellowfish tuna. But she sees that he's shaking his head. She says, what? That's the correct way to do it. And that's how I've been cooking it, and it's what the textbook says too. But he's like, no, that's not how you do it. And he calls her Miss O'Connell, which frustrates her because she legally changed her name so she could have her mother's maiden name, which is Tarleton. And because her mom happens to be Garnette's aunt. It's weird, I know. Don't. But Garnette comes up to him and realizes, oh my gosh, he's the guy who helps the main evil dude in the first book to kill King Adelaide and Aquatica. So she confronts him. He's like, oh my gosh, Your Highness, please forgive me and my rudeness to your cousin. Oh my gosh. But she thinks that he's angry at the people who placed him there. Not the king, but his former boss. And he's like, no, I'm not angry. That's not why I'm treating your cousin. It's because he's jealous. He doesn't like being a merman. He wants to be human. Just because he's banned from Aquatica. He doesn't see the perks of being merman anymore. He sees all the negatives. And he basically says, I'd give anything to do that. Anyways, I'm explaining too much. So she goes, her cousin explains to her how she can astral project back home, but she ends up not doing that because she feels more at home in the ocean with her uncle and her best friend. I forgot they're not dating. And her best friend Ezra, who is also the king's advisor. Super old. Anyways, she ends up astral projecting to her uncle. She tells him of the situation between her cousin and her cousin's professor, and he's like, and he finds it interesting. So he might contact him. I never did explain that bit later on in the book. Oops. Anywho, I'm gonna be editing this so hard. Anywho, she goes back to Kelly and Jesse's house to finish the application, and later on that day, she turns in the application. And that's where we are. Jeez, what a talk. Alright. Let's go ahead and start reading, shall we? Probably should just cut this book in half. Jeez. Later on that day, she was at the dancers. She sat in Keaton's office, waiting for him to return. She kept her dark bag close to herself with little suspicion. Garnette didn't want him to know there was a small seashell inside. Normally she wouldn't bring a shell with her, but she had a feeling her uncle would try to call. She didn't have to wait long. Keaton only needed to check on his kitchen staff. He closed the office door gently. He then walked to a cupboard he had built when he became manager. Garnette never noticed the cupboard until then. She narrowed her brows with curiosity. May I ask where you got the cupboard? It looks, well, out of place, she asked as he made a cup of tea. You may, but you might not like the answer. He saw her raise a brow. Keaton chuckled after sipping the tea. It came with the office. Liar? Would you... Miss O'Connell, they said at the same time. Garnette faintly smiled. Please, go ahead. Miss O'Connell, I forgot to ask. Would you like a cup of tea? She thought for a moment and smiled. I'd prefer a cup of hot water. He nodded, turned to the cupboard, and prepared her request. She politely took the cup. Thank you. Garnette carefully opened her bag and put dry seaweed in her cup. She saw Keaton giving her an odd look. It's an acquired taste, but it tastes better when the seaweed is fresh. I'm sure, he muttered. He cleared his throat. Anyways, about your application. Excuse me, but would you kindly tell me if this is an interview? She bit her lip. He gave her a look. I would, but I won't. She hummed. Garnette sipped her tea. I guess he put something in his tea. Or is it something else? She thought. Garnette pulled out her application and gave it to him. Here's my application. As he put it on his desk, he nodded. You're not going to look at it? No, I already know what position to put you in. I'll look at it later to fit you in the schedule. Keaton walked to the door. Come with me. I'll show you where everything is. He gave her a look. Stand up. She stared at him. Garnette was about to say something, but she had the compulsion to stand. She waited, to stay sitting. She tried to fight it without it being obvious. Keaton shook his head lightly. Stand up, Miss O'Connell. Garnette quickly stood. All right, now follow me. With Garnette's brows narrowed, the two left the office. How long have you worked here? In a few weeks it'll be 5 years. I've learned quite a bit on how to be a manager. I run a well-oiled place here. Everyone knows their place. I bet, she thought. Here is where the kitchen is, and the spinner. That's where you'll put the orders. He started hastening, which caused her to drag behind. "Keep up with me now." Garnette sighed in frustration as her feet picked up the pace. "How is he doing this?" she thought. She fiddled with her locket. Garnette looked at it with a thought as he glanced away. "I wonder." As she kept her mind on his hold, she carefully opened the locket's mechanism. A figurine of a haddock appeared in her other hand. She gasped and quickly closed her locket. "Miss O'Connell." Garnette hurriedly put the figurine in her bag before he finished turning toward her. "Yes?" She raised her brows. "I almost forgot to tell you. You'll need a uniform when you start tomorrow morning." "Tomorrow morning?" she repeated in shock. "Before sunrise?" Keaton chuckled. He shook his head. "Goodness, no. The owner would never allow that. As I said moments ago, I'll look at your application soon. I'm hoping you could start tomorrow at 10 a.m. She sighed of relief. 10 a.m. is great. I'll be here. Now, if you don't mind, could I talk to Ariel for a few minutes? "Not at all. In fact, she can show you where the uniforms are. You're getting the waitress position." "Yes, sir." Garnette turned to head off. "Wait a second, Miss O'Connell." Despite he had no command hold on her, she stopped walking. She didn't want him to know he couldn't control her. "Would you kindly tell her that she only had 2 breaks today?" She turned her head toward him. Sure," she said, puzzled as to why that was. She hurried off to find Ariel. Garnette ended up being at the mirrors, fixing her makeup. "Hey, Ariel." "Well, that didn't take long." I gave him my application. "That's good," Ariel sighed. She looked at her friend's reflection. "He hasn't scheduled me in yet, but he wants me to start tomorrow morning." "And that you only had 2 breaks today." Ariel shrugged. "I never could understand Keaton. He creeps me out. Do you think he followed me?" "I don't know. I could ask, though." She turned toward one of her coworkers. "Leia, come here." Leia did so. "This is Garnette. She's one of us." She smiled at Garnette. "Welcome to the dancers. You're gonna love working here. Well, most of the time." The mermaid greeted with a slight Georgian accent. "I know what you mean. I don't like Keaton that much." "Ugh, finally," she whispered. "He's got this weird hold, you know." "I know," Leah whispered. "I don't like it." "Leah," Ariel said. She looked at Ariel. "She's one of us." Leah narrowed her brows, but only for a moment. She gasped with surprise. Garnette smiled. "Oh, wow!" She gasped again. "He doesn't have yours, does he?" "He doesn't. He almost got Leia's object a couple times. In fact, in the past month, I've been able to get some of our coworkers realizing he's able to do that. Now that we know the keywords, we'll be able to be wary of what he says." "Guys, shh! We don't know if he's eavesdropping." It stayed quiet for a few moments as Leia used her power. "He followed you, but after you mentioned the application, he left. He's in his office now." Garnette widened her eyes. "Then we have to hurry." She rushed. "Quick, get everyone who's about to check out. I have an idea." Ariel scrunched her forehead and cocked her head. "Why?" "I have something of his that we need to destroy. I used Karina's help." "You figured out its powers already?" "Yeah, I did. I can use my object in 2 ways. Let's talk about that later. We gotta be quick." So what'd you take?" Leah asked. Garnette pulled out the figurine. "This is just one of his things, I assume. It'll only slow him down a little bit." She glanced around. "Anyone know where we can crack this?" Ariel had an idea. She took the figurine. "Come on, I think I got it." She opened a closet door. That's when she pulled out a hammer. She went to her mirror, grabbed a wrap, and covered the figurine. Holding the ends of her wrap tightly, she slammed it with a hammer. Everyone in the room jumped of fright at its loud slam. "Cool it, Ariel. We don't want him to know," Garnette whispered. Relax, Nettie. You don't mind me calling you Nettie, do you? Her friend shook her head. Oh, she shook her head. I made this wrap with the help of my powers. Its effects only work when I use it. What are its effects? I forgot. Leah wondered. Well, with what I did, only the people in this room heard me hit the figurine. She slammed her wrap once more. One of their coworkers grew curious of what she was doing. He walked up to them to see better. After she did that, Ariel clenched the wrap tighter to rid what space was left. She used the hammerhead to grind the pieces to dust. The coworker spoke while she did her task. What's going on? We're making a plan, Ariel said. Get everyone that's clocking out. Who knows about Keaton's code? His eyes widened. He made a single nod and hurried to do so. It didn't take long. There were only a few. They had already clocked out. Each employee got a small pile of stone dust. Garnette took what was left. When you leave, at least Leah said, you can toss it anywhere, as long as it's not the same area as the others. We don't know what else he has. He might try to restore it or something. As they walked off, Ariel sighed. That'll only delay him a little bit. We have to figure out how to get you out of here. Her friend nodded reluctantly. And you better get out of here before Keaton finds out. Yeah. An hour later, Garnette stood near the rocks on Virginia Beach. She looked out over the ocean. She could smell the salt water spraying in the air from its waves. The princess sighed as the autumn wind blew against her. She took steps alongside her ocean world. She couldn't help wonder what else of her powers she would learn. Garnette already knew how to use her locket both ways possible. She hoped to have something like Ariel's ability to apply heat. The two-legged mermaid lost her train of thought when a beach ball hit her in the side. She glanced in the direction where it came from. The ball was thrown by a young man. Garnette threw the beach ball back to him before he thanked her. A scream full of giggles sounded right after. She curiously looked in that direction. The giggles came closer to her. A group of girls squirted water guns at each other. Garnette stepped away to let him have their fun, and to avoid the water. As she continued walking, she sighed. No one bothered going into the ocean. The weather was sunny, but it wasn't warm enough. Cold plus the freezing Atlantic would not give much of a result. A teenage boy bumped into her, as she remembered the times she and her cousin did go in. He and his friend had been fighting after taking a quick wet down from the change room. Oops, sorry, he giggled. She gasped when water rolling down his back touched her arm. They continued fighting. She knew it would take 5 seconds before the moonlight glow shined on her legs and wrists. Garnette ran and dove into the ocean at the exact moment they shined. No one noticed at all. She shook her head in frustration and looked up at the beach. Garnette then swam deeper into the ocean. She took a swim for a good long time, watching fish swim in seaweed and reefs. Now and then she saw a dolphin swim by. The mermaid smiled as it made gestures to her. She swam to the dolphin. They moved along with the ocean together. Garnette would do barrel rolls, twirls, and all sorts of moves as they swam. She avoided going to Aquatica. She wanted to swim, not see people everywhere she went. The princess loved being in the open waters, almost as much as being with Ezra. Garnette smiled when she recalled what he said after her uncle gave her Corinna's locket. If ever you need me, I'm just a shell away. She looked around after hearing his words in her mind. The dolphin was gone. Garnette had gone far deeper into the ocean, past Aquatica. She realized that too when she spotted a sunken ship. A sunken ship? Garnette had a smile on her face. Her brows rose. Her eyes had wonder and curiosity in them. She bit a lip as she wondered whether to explore it or not, She knew sharks liked to swim around sunken ships. It was a desperate way to find food. Before even glancing at the ship again, she wanted to hear Ezra's voice. Instead of holding her locket, she searched for a shell. Garnette missed him deeply and much rather wanted to hear his voice than see him. She knew if she did, then she'd swim back to hold him close. Aww. The princess managed to find a beautiful knobbed whelk shell. She smiled before placing it against her ear. Don't forget that belongs to Her Highness Almondine, she heard. Garnette knew that proper voice, and it made her grin from ear to ear. You better return that to her soon, Princess Peridot. She laughed, imagining one of the royal sisters taking things from one another without asking. Peridot was the third youngest of King Adelaide's 8 daughters. He never had sons that lived long enough. They loved adventure too much. It had only been 3.5 months being in Aquatica. Day by day, she'd learned something about her cousins. Garnette hadn't decided yet of her judgments toward them. Ezra, pick up, she said into the whelk shell. He heard her laugh from his shell before she spoke. Ezra picked it up with a smile. Hello, my princess. She giggled. I'm no Princess Ezra. And I think I'm going to stop there. I probably should have stopped sooner, but I was enjoying myself. So I believe that is it, everyone. Oh my gosh. So, I still think that I should cut this book in half, because, oh my gosh. But, thankfully, this little scene at the sunken ship is going to help progress the book. Oh, finally. But, as I said earlier, my gosh, I forgot to put a conclusion on the professor. I did not do any conclusion on the professor. I'm glad I noticed that, actually, because now I need to figure out what to do with that. It's going to make the book a little bit longer. Yikes. But at least I'll have a conclusion for it so that when it's published, people won't be confused. Well, they'll already be confused because it's such a long, humongous book. Alrighty, nighty. So, what do you guys think of the book so far? I mean, I know I've been asking that question for some time now, but I really do want to know what you guys think of my book so far, because like with Ashley's Dream Come True, I would love some help. Well, no, I've been saying this throughout the entire reading of the Rat Prophecy anyways. I would love some help on this book. If you guys have any hints, any suggestions, or anything like that, that would be awesome. Any tips? I welcome it. Even though I judge, I welcome it. Because, oh my gosh, this book needs so much change. I'm actually, because it's November, I've actually been kind of dabbing in NaNoWriMo. If you're not familiar with NaNoWriMo, you can check out the website, and I'm going to put the website in the description. I think I might be able to put my profile in the description, because you can find the book that I'm working on. Ever since, I guess, Christmas of, I think the Christmas of 2014, I was able to get a beta reader. No, not beta reader. Is it beta or alpha? I can never remember correctly. But I was able to get someone to read one of my books that hasn't been published yet. But anyways, I got someone to read one of my books, and she actually really liked it, but it was super confusing for her. So she gave me some suggestions, and I actually like some of them, and I think I'm actually going to do that. But the way I want to do it, I basically have to rewrite the entire book. And I'm actually really liking it. I started this month finally, I'm kind of using it for my NaNoWriMo, even though I'm not making any progress at all. I'm completely stumped. Mainly because I have to do a full depth history of these characters. The book is called, I call it, The Scare of Noazette. It's basically my own version of the Canterville Ghost. You guys might be familiar with the movie version with Neve Campbell and what's his face? I always forget his name. It's not Timothy Dalton. That's the Rocketeer. Anyways, I think I've been talking enough. I'm not positive just because I have laundry waiting for me. So I think I'm going to go ahead and bid you adieu, everyone. So I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am Sweet Rascally Rabbit, also known as the Esperanza 243. Signing out. Bye, everyone. Why am I tired? I just woke up. I make the weirdest faces. Wait, why are you still here? Go to the next video.